my number one secret to staying healthy at 80 plus years old. When you get to be 85, you learn a thing or two about what really matters. More importantly, you learn what doesn't. I've seen so many health fads come and go, each one bursting onto the scene like a firework, promising it's the real secret to a long and healthy life. I remember when the world decided all fat was poison, and we all dutifully ate chalky, fat-free cookies that tasted of regret. Then, just a few years later, butter was back in, and it was carbohydrates we had to fear. I've seen jogging give way to aerobics, which gave way to spin classes, and something called CrossFit that looked terribly loud. Today, it seems like there's a new supplement pulled from a rare jungle plant, or a complicated color-coded diet to follow every single week. It's enough to make your head spin. So many people with the very best of intentions get caught in this whirlwind. They come to believe the secret to a long life is hidden in some complicated diet, an intense workout regimen, or a new meditation app. They pour all their energy into one thing, just desperately hoping it's the right one, the magic bullet. But I've been around a while now, and I've had a front row seat to what actually works, not in a pristine laboratory, but in the real, messy, beautiful lives of myself and the friends I've been lucky enough to grow old alongside. And I can tell you, with the certainty of my 85 years, they're missing the most important piece of the puzzle, my secret to not just living longer, but really living. To waking up each day with energy, a clear mind, and a feeling of genuine peace. It's all about one single integrated habit. It's not about adding more to your plate. In fact, it's about simplifying. It's something that ties your mind, your body, and your community together in a way most people just don't think about anymore. It isn't about doing more. It's about doing something fundamental in a way that feeds your whole soul, all at once. And today, I want to share that with you. 1. The great misconception. The 3 lonely silos. Before I tell you what my secret is, we need to talk about why so much of the usual advice just misses the mark. It's a fundamental error in thinking. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. We've been taught to think about our health in separate boxes, or what I call the 3 lonely silos. You have the body silo, the mind silo, and the social silo. We're told to work on one, then maybe another if we have the time, but we rarely, if ever, treat them like the deeply connected, interwoven system they truly are. We try to build them up side by side, but they stand alone, and a strong wind can knock them over. And that separation? That's the biggest mistake people make on their journey to a long and vibrant life. Let's start with the most obvious one, the body silo. This is diet and exercise. And please don't get me wrong, this foundation is critically important. The science is as clear as a bell. A healthy diet full of colorful vegetables, fruits, and whole grains is a cornerstone of a long life. And regular movement, even just a simple daily walk, is absolutely essential for keeping your strength, your balance, and your precious independence. Avoiding things like smoking and keeping a healthy weight can add years to your life, and not just any years, but good years, free of the chronic diseases that can steal one's joy. I knew a man named Arthur. He was the undisputed king of the body silo. From the day he retired at 65, his life became a masterclass in physical discipline. He woke at the same time every morning, drank a glass of lemon water, and then he was off. He ate a perfect Mediterranean diet, weighed his food with a little digital scale, and never, ever missed his 5-mile run, rain or shine. I'd see him from my window, a determined figure jogging past in any weather. He had the best blood pressure and cholesterol numbers you've ever seen. His doctor was always marveling at him. But Arthur was terribly, profoundly lonely. His dear wife had passed on some years before. His kids lived far away in different states, And he never made time for friends because, in his mind, a spontaneous coffee invitation might mess up his rigid meal schedule or his afternoon strength training session. He had a perfectly tuned body, a true biological marvel. But his spirit was starving. He was fit, but he wasn't vibrant. He was often melancholic and withdrawn, a ghost haunting his own healthy house. Arthur taught me that a healthy body is a wonderful, necessary thing, but it's an empty vessel if it's not connected to a happy heart. And you know, science has now proven what I saw with my own 2 eyes. Being connected to people is just as important as your cholesterol numbers for your health. Loneliness can be as damaging as any physical ailment. Then there's the second silo, the mind silo. This one has become more popular lately, and for good reason. This is all about managing stress, nurturing a positive outlook, and keeping your brain sharp and engaged. A lot of long-lived people I've known swear by their positive attitude, and they're absolutely right. Hope is a powerful medicine, and things that challenge the brain, like reading dense books, doing the daily crossword puzzle in ink, or learning a new language or skill, are absolutely vital for preserving your memory and cognitive function as you age. I had a dear friend, Eleanor, a brilliant woman, a retired head librarian, and her mind was a fortress of knowledge and wit. She read a new book almost every day, did the crossword in pen before her morning tea was even finished, and could debate politics or philosophy with the best of them. She was a master of the mind silo. She practiced mindfulness decades before it was fashionable, and she had this wonderful, calm, centered presence. But in her focus on the life of the mind, she forgot about her body. She was almost entirely sedentary, perfectly content to spend her days in her big, comfortable armchair with her books and her thoughts. Over time, her world started to shrink, almost imperceptibly at first. Her muscles, unused, grew weaker. Her balance became shaky. Soon, she was afraid to walk to the corner store for fear of falling. Then she was afraid to go down the steps of her own porch. Eventually, her brilliant mind, which could travel to ancient Rome or the farthest reaches of the galaxy through her books, was trapped inside a body that couldn't carry her into the world she so loved to read about. She showed me that a sharp mind needs a capable body to truly experience life. One without the other, well, it's its own kind of quiet, heartbreaking prison. And that brings us to the third, and perhaps the most tragically forgotten silo, the social silo. This is about our friends, our family, our community, our tribe. We are social creatures, right down to our bones. It's not a weakness, it's our greatest strength. Having strong social ties isn't just a pleasant bonus, it's as crucial to our health as the food we eat or the water we drink. It protects us from the shadows of depression and gives us the strength to face life's inevitable storms. I think of my old neighbor, Margaret. She was the most social person I have ever known. She was pure sunshine. Her door was always open, the coffee was always on, and her home was the unofficial headquarters of our little street. She was the heart of our community, always organizing potlucks, holiday parties for the children, and checking in on anyone who was sick or feeling down. She was constantly surrounded by laughter and love. But in her beautiful, generous focus on everyone else, she neglected herself. Her diet was whatever was quick and easy, often the leftover cake from a party or a hastily made sandwich. She never made time for a purposeful walk or any kind of real movement. She was too busy driving others to their appointments. Over the years, chronic health problems, the kind that creep up slowly, started to take hold. Her energy, once a boundless well, began to fade. The joy she brought to others was immeasurable, but her own light started to dim. She taught me the profound truth that you simply cannot pour from an empty cup. To be a good friend, a good neighbor, a good parent, you first have to be a good friend to yourself. So you see the problem? Arthur in his pristine body silo. Eleanor in her brilliant mind silo, Margaret in her warm-hearted social silo. Each one was doing something wonderful, something admirable, but it was incomplete. Real, lasting health, the kind that sparkles in your eyes, doesn't come from being perfect in one area while letting the others fall into disrepair. It comes from breaking down those silo walls and letting everything work together in beautiful, messy harmony. 2. The reveal. My keystone habit for vitality. So after all those years of watching and listening, of trying things myself, of seeing what gave people that real spark in their eye well into their 80s and 90s, I finally figured it out. It's not a magic pill from a fancy bottle. It's not some complicated formula you have to track on a spreadsheet. It's a simple, profound shift in how you see the very act of living. So, what's my secret? It's this. Find and practice what I call a keystone habit for vitality. What on earth is that? It's simply one activity that you do regularly, but it naturally and effortlessly mixes together those three things we just talked about: physical movement, mental engagement, and social connection. Think about it for a moment. It's not about adding three separate, burdensome things to your to-do list: a 30-minute walk, a 15-minute puzzle, a 10-minute phone call. That's the silo mentality. It's about finding one enjoyable, life-giving activity that does all the work for you, all at once. And when you combine them, the magic truly happens. They don't just add up, they multiply their benefits. The physical movement doesn't feel like a chore because you're lost in a fascinating conversation. The mental challenge is fun and stimulating because it's part of a shared, lived experience. And the social connection feels deeper and more meaningful because you're not just talking, you're doing something purposeful together. This is where the magic lives. It's about seeing your well-being not as a checklist of dreary obligations, but as a symphony. Each instrument, the body, the mind, the spirit, is essential. You can play a solo on one, and it might be impressive, but when they play together in harmony, the result is breathtaking. Suddenly, taking care of yourself isn't a list of chores you have to get through. It's a joy. It's the very definition of a rich life. It's the difference between just surviving and truly, deeply thriving. This isn't about being perfect. It's about finding an activity that feels good, that gets you out of those lonely silos and into a full, vibrant, interconnected life. For decades, I searched for it without even knowing what I was looking for. And then, about 20 years ago, I found mine. 3. The personal story. How a simple garden saved me. My wife Martha passed away when I was 66. We'd been married for 42 years, and she was the anchor of my life. To say I was lost without her is a profound understatement. Her illness was a long, slow fade, and for the last few years, my entire world had shrunk to the four walls of our home. My purpose was simple and clear: take care of Martha. And when she was gone, that purpose vanished. The silence in the house wasn't just an absence of sound. It was a weight. It was deafening. For the better part of a year, I was adrift. The days just blurred together. I'd sit in my armchair, the television droning on, but my mind had nothing to hold on to but the past. I was just waiting. Frankly, I felt my story had already been written, and the final chapter was a short one. Then, one spring morning, my neighbor, a young man named Tom with 2 little kids, knocked on my door. He was holding a flyer. He told me about an old, abandoned community garden plot at the end of our street. It was a mess of weeds and trash. The city had given a local group permission to fix it up, but they were short on hands, especially anyone who knew a thing or two about growing. He knew Martha and I had always kept a vegetable patch. He asked if I'd consider helping out. "We could really use an old pro's advice," he said. We're just a bunch of amateurs making a mess. My first instinct was to say no. I didn't have the energy or the inclination. But then he said something that got past the wall I'd built around myself. He pointed back to his kids, who were kicking a ball in their yard. "The kids and I would love to learn how to grow something," he said. "We just want to make that ugly patch of ground into something good again." I don't know what it was, but I heard myself say yes. I told him I'd walk down and take a look, which felt like a monumental effort. That first day, I mostly just stood there with my arms crossed, watching Tom and a few other young families wrestle with the weeds. I couldn't help myself. I started pointing. No, you've got to get the root on that one. That one's a thistle, you'll want gloves. But that one there, that's a perennial, just leave it be." And I had a real conversation with someone, for the first time in months. I'd almost forgotten what that felt like. The next day, I went back. This time, I brought my old tools and Martha's favorite pair of gloves. I spent an hour on my knees, turning over the soil. My hands in the dirt felt right, familiar. My back ached that evening, but it was a good kind of ache. The ache of having done something useful, not the ache of sitting still. Mentally, I was hooked. My mind, which had been stuck replaying old memories, now had new problems to solve. Where should the tomatoes go to get the most sun? What kind of soil did we have? How do we keep the rabbits out? I was planning, strategizing. I was using my brain in a way that felt powerful and practical. And socially, well, that forgotten patch of land became the neighborhood meeting spot. Young parents came with their toddlers, who were more interested in the worms than the vegetables. A few other old fellas from down the street would wander over each afternoon to inspect our progress and offer their 2 cents on watering techniques. We shared tools, we shared stories, we argued about the best way to stake a tomato plant. We weren't just growing vegetables, we were growing a community from that barren ground. Within a few months, I was a different man. I was out in that garden every morning. The walking and digging made me feel stronger than I had in years. My body felt useful again, and it's hard not to eat well when you're growing your own vegetables right outside your door. My mind was clear. They started calling me the garden boss, and that sense of purpose gave me a reason to get out of bed every morning. And my heart, that awful loneliness that had been a constant weight on my chest, it had just lifted. It had been turned into compost, I suppose, made into something new. The community garden became my keystone habit for vitality. It wasn't exercise, a brain game, and socializing. It was one integrated, purposeful thing. It was just gardening. But that one single activity wove my physical, mental, and social health back together into a single, strong rope. It didn't just add years to my life, it put the life back in my years. And that, right there, is my secret. 4. Making it actionable. How to find your keystone habit. Now, you might be thinking, that's a lovely story, but I don't have a community garden, and I hate getting my hands dirty. And that's perfectly okay. The secret isn't gardening. The secret is the principle behind it. Your keystone habit will be as unique as your own fingerprint, tailored to your interests, your personality, and your circumstances. The goal is to find one activity you genuinely enjoy that naturally pulls those 3 pillars, body, mind, and social, together. So, how do you find yours? Let's just brainstorm a little. Don't censor yourself. Just let your mind play. Think about a walking book club. Instead of sitting inside a stuffy room, you meet at a local park or a beautiful trail. You get your movement in. A nice 30 or 40-minute walk that gets your blood pumping. Body. While you're walking, you're not just idly chatting. You're debating a book's themes, analyzing characters, and predicting the plot, keeping your mind deeply engaged. Mind. And of course, you're building real, lasting friendships with people who share your passion for literature. Social. See? One activity, hitting all 3 notes in perfect harmony. Or, what about volunteering to read to children at the local library? Just the act of getting up, getting dressed, and traveling to the library gets you moving and out of the house, body. Reading aloud, using different voices, and answering all their funny, insightful, and completely unexpected questions keeps your mind as sharp as a tack, mind. And the intergenerational connection you build with those kids and the other volunteers, that's pure joy and purpose right there. Social. Maybe you love history, or you know all about the local birds. Why not start a little weekly walking tour for your neighbors or for visitors at the local community center? You're out walking in the fresh air, sometimes for an hour or more, body. You're researching your town's history or local ecology, organizing your thoughts, and then teaching it to others, which is one of the best ways to keep your brain working, mind. And in doing so, you're bringing your whole community together, fostering a sense of shared place and pride, social. The possibilities are truly endless. It could be joining a choir, taking a Tai Chi or dance class in the park, volunteering at an animal shelter. Walking dogs is a perfect example. Or even starting a small group that gets together weekly to cook healthy, adventurous meals together. The key is to stop seeing your health as a list of chores. Sit down with a piece of paper and ask yourself, what is one activity I could do that would get my body moving, my mind working, and my heart connected, all at the same time? And please, for the love of all that is good, find something you actually enjoy. That's the only way you'll stick with it. This shouldn't feel like taking your medicine. It should feel like a gift you give yourself. So I've told you my story, and I've shared my secret. Now, I genuinely love to hear from you. This is where the wisdom grows, when we share it. Think about your own life, your passions, your neighborhood, your unique skills. What could be a keystone habit for you? What's an activity you think could weave together your physical, mental, and social well-being into one beautiful chord? Please take a moment and share your idea in the comments below. It doesn't have to be a perfect, fully formed plan, just a thought, a spark. Maybe you love music, or old movies, or dogs. How could you build from that? When we share our ideas, we can light a spark for someone else. You might just give another person the very idea they need to find their own path to a vibrant life. I promise to read every single one of your comments, and I can't wait to learn from all of you. For too long, we've been told that being healthy is all about what you can't do, what you have to restrict, what you must give up. It's been presented as a series of bitter pills we must swallow, a set of joyless tasks we must perform. But what I have learned in my 85 years on this earth is that a vibrant, truly healthy life isn't built on a foundation of rules and restrictions. It's built on a foundation of joyful connection. It's not about what you give up. It's about what you create, and, most importantly, who you share it with. The single most powerful thing you can do for your health and your happiness is to find a single, purposeful activity that nourishes your body, engages your mind, and connects you to others. It is never, ever too late to start. You don't need to wait for a doctor's permission or for the perfect moment to arrive. You just need to take one small, single step toward an activity that brings these 3 essential parts of your magnificent life together. Your body is your vessel to move through the world. Your mind is your guide to understand it, and your connection to others is your anchor in it. Weave them together, and you won't just add years to your life. You'll add incredible, vibrant, and meaningful life to your years. Thank you for spending this time with me.